Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We had a Red Bull 1-2 once again, and I think it's good for our mental health if we start accepting that this is going to be the case throughout the season. P3 is the actual winner, and for this race, it was Charles Leclerc. Good job, Ferrari. But at least the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was not as boring as the Bahrain Grand Prix. Thanks to Kevin Magnussen for traumatizing Yuki and 4 other drivers behind him. We had Lance Stroll in the wall for no reason, Ollie Bearman with an amazing debut, and an Alpine blowing up just as the race started. You guys had a lot of questions. Let's get started. Let's start with Ferrari because I think they are the clear number 2 behind Red Bull right now, and they are doing a very good job. I mean, quite underrated. Leclerc qualified in P2. He's a great qualifier, and then in the race as well, he managed everything pretty well and got the best possible result, which is P3. That Red Bull is just crazy on the straights, and it's very difficult to challenge them right now. But he had a very good race. This track is not very aggressive on the tires, so the tire degradation was not that much. We'll get to know about this more in the future, which was Ferrari's biggest problem. But it looks like they have fixed it. So a good one from Leclerc. He was pretty bored driving all this while. He himself said in the post-race interview that this race was quite boring. And if we talk about Ollie Bearman, that's where all the action was, because a rookie suddenly steps into the car because Carlos Sainz has an appendicitis surgery, and he did an amazing job. We need to understand that this is a very difficult track for a rookie. High speed corners, one step wrong and you're in the wall. You can ask Lance Stroll about that. So yeah, he didn't push that much in qualifying. He qualified P11, and within the race he did a decent job. He took a while to go past Nico Hülkenberg, but he said that he was learning how to use the car. He drives an F2. Those cars don't have a hybrid engine. F1 cars have a hybrid engine. So you have the electric battery component as well, which you need to learn how to use. When to keep the battery in charging mode, when to use it to overtake. So he took a couple of laps to learn it, and then he got past Nico Hülkenberg. And the best part was at the end, when Norris and Hamilton, both of them were chasing him on softer tires. He did an amazing job to increase his pace, manage the gap very well, and that is an amazing race for a rookie. So he got points on his F1 debut, which pushes Gasly 21st in a 20 drivers championship. To no fault of his own, for some reason his car gave up on the formation lap. There were some problems, and then within the first lap of the race they had to retire his car. Alpine is the only team actually that is slower than their 2023 pace. All of the teams have made improvements. Things are not looking great for them, and things are not even looking great for Mercedes, because once again apparently they have issues now. Their major problem was that their simulation data was not correlating with their real world performance. At the start of this season they said that everything is good, now it's working, now we just need to upgrade the car. Once again, after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, they are saying that, oh, our simulation is not matching our actual world performance. What the hell? Have they tried turning off and turning on the simulator again? Because you can't have the same excuse for 3 years. Throughout the weekend, both of the drivers were complaining that the rear end of the car was not very stable. Russell seemed a bit more confident in the car in comparison to Lewis, and this is a track where you need that confidence in the car because you have to push it through some very tough corners. And the Mercedes was actually bouncing in the high speed corners. You can see this qualifying lap. Max can take these corners full throttle, whereas both of the Mercedes guys have to get off the throttle a bit so that they can go through the corners without damaging the car. That's a big difference, and this is where Lewis Hamilton was actually losing out to Lando Norris. They were quite fast on the straight, so he was catching up to the McLaren, but the moment they came in these corners, Norris was easily going out of DRS zone, and we saw that multiple times. Because of this, Lewis could never come close to Lando. And Lewis Hamilton actually had a better race in comparison to George Russell. You might think I'm stupid because George finished ahead of him, but Mercedes actually took a gamble with the strategy like McLaren did. When we had the safety car after the Lance Stroll accident, they put one car on the hard tires, which was George Russell for Mercedes and Oscar Piastri for McLaren, and Norris and Hamilton stayed out on their existing medium tire because this track has multiple safety cars, so when they get a safety car in the future, they can get an advantage. But somehow we never had another safety car, so eventually they had to pit. So that's why they were quite behind, because they took a gamble with the strategy which did not work out. But the defense that Hamilton has put with 30 lap old medium tires in front of Oscar Piastri, who was on fresher tires, was crazy. You saw multiple times he made Oscar make mistakes. He had to give the position back, and he actually never really got by Lewis Hamilton until Hamilton pitted. So that was a crazy defense masterclass from Lewis. It was amazing. And even Lewis's race pace was better than George Russell. Even on the 30 lap old medium tires, he was lapping as fast as George, or sometimes even faster than George on the fresh hard tires. But both of the McLaren boys did a great job. Oscar Piastri in P4. Their car is very good in the high speed corners, but it's not very good on the straight. The DRS is not very effective as it is on other cars, so they were suffering a bit. And Lando Norris, everybody was asking why did he not get a penalty for a jump start. So he did jump start a bit. As you can see, his car goes out of the box before the light goes out. But the thing is that FIA has a sensor on each of the car to detect jump start, and only after a certain threshold that sensor is activated. So that did not happen for Norris. According to the rules, if the sensor does not go off, you can't give a penalty. So this has happened in the past as well, and that's why Norris did not get a penalty. It's not like FIA is biased towards McLaren. That's not the case. Fernando Alonso did a great job with the Aston Martin. Lance Stroll, you know what he did. The funniest part was when he crashed the car and the engineer was like, can you bring it back? Well, that happens because the guys in the garage cannot see the live video feed until it appears on the F1 TV feed that you and I see. So sometimes they don't know what has happened to the car. They only know that the car has stopped. But yeah, Aston is actually pretty good in the straight line. It's like completely opposite to McLaren in terms of characteristics. So because of that, they were able to do a good performance here. And surprisingly, Mercedes was the third fastest Mercedes powered team. We had McLaren, Aston Martin, and then Mercedes. I'm sure every time a Ferrari goes by Lewis Hamilton, he's slightly smiling under his helmet because he knows he's going to the right place. And lastly, to finish off the points, we had Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas, and he should credit this to Kevin Magnussen. First of all, Kevin Magnussen got 2 10-second penalties because obviously he was driving very rashly, and that was just weird. I mean, I don't know what was he doing. But what he did later on was very, very smart. So Nico Hülkenberg, like Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris, did not pit during the safety car, and he was on the medium tyres that he started. And they were also hoping for a safety car eventually so that he could pit without losing his position. But that was not happening. Behind Nico Hülkenberg was Zhou Guanyu, who was also on the medium tyres, who had to pit. And behind him was Kevin Magnussen. So now what Magnussen did was he started slowing down. He started slowing the whole pack behind so that he can create a 22-second gap between Hülkenberg and Magnussen, so Hülkenberg can pit and come out ahead of Magnussen and his position remains and he can finish in the points. And the surprising part was that the Haas had enough pace so that those guys could not overtake them, which was very, very surprising, which also tells you that Haas is technically now the best of the rest in the bottom 5. Haas is on top. We saw that in Bahrain. We also saw that right now. They are actually doing a very good job. They went from completely shit to a very capable race car in the best of the rest crowd. From that, if we talk about some other things, Daniel Ricciardo had the worst race. Yuki got into Q3, Ricciardo didn't. If he plans to go to Red Bull, I don't think this is doing him any favors. And at the same time, his race pace was also very, very bad. He had almost a 1-minute pit stop during the safety car, which put him really, really last. And his car didn't have pace at all, like he wasn't pushing or anything. And he randomly spun as well while Perez was lapping him. I mean, imagine if he would have gotten in contact with Perez while Perez was lapping him. That would have been a bit weird. But yeah, not a great race from Ricciardo. I'm not sure what is Kick Sauber doing because once again they messed up the pit stop. Not for Bottas this time, but for Zhou Guanyu. I don't know why this team exists. I think they're just waiting for Audi to take over, which is good news. Audi has decided to buy 100% of this team. So hopefully they'll have a better future. And all the Vcash RB hype has died down for me now. Everybody was hyping them that they are buying a lot of Red Bull parts. They're going to be very, very fast. I don't think so. And Williams are somewhere in the between. This time their car is draggy on the straights. They still have to work a lot on the car. I was almost going to end this video, then I realized I have not spoken about Red Bull at all. I mean, there's nothing to say. Car is amazing everywhere. There is no problem with the car. Max is driving so well. I'm pretty sure they're holding back pace. Max could have gone a lot faster, but they've kept a lot of pace in the bank. Perez is also doing a great job. I hope that he keeps this form throughout the whole season. He starts off his season very, very well. Then he drops down a bit. So I hope that he keeps this because that's what Red Bull wants him to do. Like just bring in all of the P2s when Max is P1. And for some reason, if Max is not performing on a day, just get the race win, but get everything that you can. And I think he's doing a great job so far. But more drama is happening with Red Bull off the track than on the track. We spoke about this in the last video as well. And now everything seems to be sorted out. They are like, team is important. Nothing is more important than the team, this, that. Apparently, they are going to meet this weekend and they're going to figure out what they are going to do in the future. Sometimes it's like Helmut Marko is going out. Now it's like Helmut Marko is not going out. Now they're saying Christian Horner could go out. I'm going to keep you updated on my Instagram. Make sure you follow me there. This was your Saudi Arabian Grand Prix review. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about the race. And I'll catch up with you guys after the Australian Grand Prix.